Uh, 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 Candy girl, you are my world. You look so sweet, you can't be beat. When you go for the gusto, you already know we gonna record every week, and we can't be beat. How you doing, fellas? I need to stop singing.
Yeah.
Man, how y'all doing, man? We back at it. It's another week. We going for the gusto. What we got going on? What's going on, Boom? What's going on, Cool? It's your boy Queso. You already know. But what's going on, fellas?
Yo, I'm tired, son. Like I've been sleeping a lot, but I needed it, man. I had a lot going on, man, lately. But I finally got some rest today, so I'm ready to get up and start this day. So ain't no
Yeah.
better way to start it than going for the gusto. You feel me?
Yeah. My job turned me into a young and the restless. They had me come with the job for an hour and 30 minutes. Had to drive there 20 minutes to get there. I'm like, I don't understand, but it's all good because I'm back here to talk about some football, man.
All right, man. It sounds good. But hey, before we start the video, y'all, y'all need to start subscribing. We see y'all watching. We said this last week and the week before. Y'all watching, but y'all not subscribing.
Right.
Y'all ain't liking.
We see you. I know you're watching, and I know you hear me.
We watching you watching us.
Mm-hmm.
We see. We know what's going on.
And put down there below too. Comment down there, like status. Let us know what you guys want to listen to, man. Like that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about football with y'all. Let us know what you want to hear.
It's free. It don't cost you nothing. It don't cost you a penny. It don't cost you a penny, a dime, a quarter, a dollar. It don't cost you nothing. That comment, like, and subscribe. It don't cost you a thing. With that being said, let's get into it. Going for the gusto. Let's go. What do we got?
So for the topics, right? So I guess for this week we're going to be talking about QB rankings and fantasy football, right? So we got a top 10. Shout out to Eric Moody. Eric Moody put out a top 10 list that we're going to be discussing today, and let's just get into it because I looked at this list and I have no idea. See, no disrespect, but like, let's start with number 10 here. At number 10,
No, hold on, real quick. I gotta say this.
please.
Shout out to Bartholomew because he was the first person to find this list, and he sent it to me first. And he couldn't be here today, but shout out to him because when he sent the list to me, he said the list made his head hurt, and I said that is the exact response you should have.
Getting started though, because I'm gonna start this with number 10 at Anthony Richardson, right? Okay. Listen, dog. That is the steepest stone I've ever seen somebody try to step on. Like, you're gonna take a rookie straight out and go put him in the top 10. No, I don't. Y'all tell me something. Y'all tell me.
It's not like he got Michael Pittman there. Who's tight end?
It's bro. It's not even like fantasy trying to say he gonna run the ball. I know that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like, who he throwing it to? Just Michael Pittman? Who else he throwing it to?
Dude, he completed like 57% of his passes in college. If you think he finna just like, I just don't.
Like, you get into an NFL organization, they got like the quarterbacks coach. They teach you mechanics and the offensive coordinator. You work with your skill set and stuff like that. I mean, but like he could throw like 62%, maybe.
But even
62 this year though, 62.
I mean, 62 wouldn't be basketball. I think the Colts are going to help him out with a lot of like screen passes, and Jonathan Taylor should be bouncing back.
Yeah.
If Jonathan want to play.
I mean, they're talking like he's going to turn into like a mixture of Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and and all the fastest quarterback you ever see. Like, I'm like, dude, there's no way on this earth he's in this top 10 for me. I'm sorry.
I mean, unless they're comparing him like how when Justin Fields had looked like coming into the league, like, oh yeah, Justin Fields should like because his
But
athleticism
Justin
is
Fields, his first season wasn't great. And then last year he had all those rushing yards, but he still wasn't really like
He wasn't a
fantasy
10.
wise. He wasn't like if. And y'all let us know in the comments. Anybody who had Justin Fields in fantasy last year, there's no way you were starting him like week in and week out.
No way, bro. Especially not in the top 10 picking quarterbacks, man. And that leads us into number 9. At number 9, we got Tua.
That's
okay.
also steep.
I mean, I wouldn't say he got weapons now. He got two tier 1 wide receivers. Yeah, I'd say Waddle is a tier 1 wide receiver. Yeah,
I'll give Waddle.
he could run. He can run when he need to. He can get you some rushing touchdowns.
No.
Waddle can run when he need to. Now that's a real reach.
Tua can run when he need to now.
Oh, you saying?
But every time Tua went to run last year, he got hurt.
He got
Tua got hurt in the pocket. Every time he got hurt in the pocket, taking a sack on the blind side. It was blindside sacks that kept fucking him. That kept messing him up.
I mean, I don't know, man. The wheels. I think the injuries kind of slowed him down a bit. He do got the weapons, but we're talking about 9, like we're talking about out of all the starting quarterbacks. Man, you know how cool. Go through the whole list real quick for me.
All right, you want the whole list? We're gonna go from 10 to 1 and then come back. All right, so
yeah. So
I'm gonna start from 10 and I'm gonna go up to 1. So at number 10, we got Anthony Richardson. At number 9, we got Tua. At number 8, we got Justin Herbert. At number 7, we got Trevor Lawrence. Number 6, we got Joe Burrow. Number 5, we got Justin Fields. Number 4, we got Lamar Jackson. Number 3, we got Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, we got Jalen Hurts. And then number 1, we got Josh Allen. Now let's talk.
So
I agree with the top 3. I can't
not
even
in that order, though.
Not in that order. No way.
Josh Allen was the number 1 fantasy quarterback for like the last 2 years.
Right, but like based on
you don't think
what?
he could be number 1 again? You don't think he deserved to be number 1 again?
What rank was Jalen Hurts last year? I know Jalen Hurts had good stats, but Jalen Hurts is number 2.
Patrick Mahomes threw 41 touchdowns. Dude, the most points you can get on fantasy is throwing a touchdown.
6 points.
He got 41.
But how many rushing touchdowns they had? Like,
what, Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Well, Josh Allen had 35 passing. Maybe he did have enough rushing to make up for it, but Patrick Mahomes had a couple rushing too. And I would have to look and figure that part out. But Justin Herbert was second in yards though.
Who was second in yards?
Justin Herbert behind Patrick Mahomes.
Josh Allen had 7 rushing.
But Herbert don't run though.
He do it when he needs to. But I'm talking about like fantasy as a quarterback. You can get passing yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, and then you lose points for interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Josh Allen threw 14 interceptions last year.
You lose 2 points. You lose 2 points per interception, right?
Well,
the standard.
We can't use.
Yeah, I know, but
our league because the standard is a little different.
Standardized. I know, but the standard is -2. That's the standard.
It could be. Like Aaron Rodgers isn't even on the list.
Yeah, he's not on the list at all.
Yeah, he shouldn't be on the list. He shouldn't be in the top 10.
He shouldn't be top 10.
Approaching this year.
He should be over Trevor Lawrence.
No, Josh. I mean, he only threw for like 3,000 yards last year. He been hurt.
Aaron Rodgers?
He was hurt.
Yeah, but
he only threw like 20 touchdowns.
Bro, all right, and Trevor Lawrence threw 25 touchdowns, and Aaron Rodgers threw 26. So no matter how you slice it, it don't matter.
So Trevor Ian threw for 4,400.
Trevor threw for 4,100, and Aaron Rodgers threw for 37. So you think Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna come back and throw
How
for
many
over
rushing yards he
4,000.
had?
He
How many
got
rushing yards he had?
Wilson too, but he got Garrett Wilson, McCall Harmon, and Corey Davis. Like I think the man could. He's gonna put up some pretty solid numbers. And to go back, the double back with Justin Herbert because we didn't touch on that. Justin Herbert also threw for 4,700 yards last year. Now,
Right.
like he threw for 4,700 yards last year. Now, and he's not in the
Dude,
top five.
Jared Goff
That's
not
how.
on the list. Jared Goff threw for 4,400.
And they not on the list. But you know how much yards that is in fantasy? You know how much points that is in fantasy?
Okay, wait. So based off of what you said, this is Eric Moody. So
Yeah.
is he projecting? Is he projecting for this year, or he's going off of like what he saw last year, and then like he's thinking about it, and then he's like trying to base it off of like
Well,
what they did last year.
Yeah, well, it's a projection of what he think people are going to do, obviously, because Anthony Richardson is on the list.
Eric Moody, if you want to respond to us about how you feel about your list and us trashing your list, please comment down in the comment box below and let us know how you feel about us talking about your list, and let us know what you actually thought about your thought process of how this makes sense.
The only person that I think is where they belong is Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson at number 4, I would still bring him down probably to number 6.
Joe Burrow should probably go above him.
Joe Burrow should be above
Fields
Lamar
needs to move.
Jackson. There's no way, bro. Like, there's no way he goes above him.
Well, I guess okay. So I guess the way how they talk about this offense, this Todd Monken offense, they saying like Lamar should throw for like 4,500 and he should run for like another 9. That's what people keep saying about him.
If Lamar Jackson throws for 45, he's not going to run for 9. That's a lot of yards altogether. If he throws for 45, he'll run for like 5. If he runs for 9, he'll throw like 38.
Like that's the astronomical things like they're saying about this. Like, well, because he's so much of a runner. Like as soon as time break down, you will never know he could bust a 70-yard run.
Let me clarify something real quick, right? Let me clarify something because you're saying about Lamar Jackson going for 4,000 yards this season, right? That's what you just said.
That's what they're saying. That's what people are saying. Like NFL Network, ESPN, CBS Sports. Like that's what everybody's saying with this new offense they got. He should throw for 4,000.
Lamar Jackson has been getting progressively better at throwing the football. He looks a lot more comfortable throwing the football. He looks a lot more accurate throwing the football. And he looks better in the pocket throwing the football. But this is the reason why. It's because Lamar Jackson progressively from the last 4 years has been throwing the ball less yards that he's been throwing since he started. Lamar Jackson threw for 2,200 yards last year. And they're expecting him to throw 2,000 more yards.
Look, bro, cool. Let me piggyback off of this because there's a lot of Lamar Jackson fans out there, and I get it.
I love Lamar Jackson.
Rest in peace to my pops because he was a huge Lamar Jackson fan. But let me just say this: the year he won the MVP, he threw for 3,100 yards. That's the highest he ever threw for. So why would he throw for 4,500? Like Lamar Jackson is a great player, but like we got to relax. Like Kirk Cousins threw for 4,500 yards, and Kenso tried to play him.
You did. You so did, bro. And we gonna get on your grease later. But
Lamar Jackson, I see throwing for let's say 3,500 yards, running for 8, and then that's a great season for him. I think the Ravens will be a great team with those numbers. But
35. I mean, I wouldn't. I'll be happy if he throws 35. I would still be surprised if he throws 35. That's a high ascension for me. I'm not saying he can't do it. By all means, I would love to see him do it. But like that's still a lot, man. Like that's 1,300 more yards than he threw last year. And granted, he got injured and he missed 4 or 5 games. Like, granted, I get it, but that's a steep difference.
Unless I can say, yeah, he throw for 3. If he throw for 35, he run for another 1,000.
Because his completion percentage that year he won MVP was only 66%. That's his highest. Last year he only threw 62%. That's not good.
You said only 66, like down in elite.
Well, he said 62 last year, though.
66 is not necessarily elite. Aaron Rodgers averages like 69 for his career. That's an average.
No, across the league, across the spectrum of all the quarterbacks in the league, isn't like 66 like above average?
66.
It's probably above average, but it's not elite. Like Patrick Mahomes, them boys consistently throw around 68 to 70.
I don't know, Rick. I don't know if I can say that one, boom, man. I don't know if I can say that.
What you mean?
Like, if you're throwing like 66%, that's actually kind of good. I'm not gonna say and hold that because.
All right.
Look, with 70 last year.
No. I
lead percentage, and Geno Smith threw like 69 point something. Like,
all right,
he was 70.
Right.
Like,
let me give y'all boys some stats then, right? I got it pulled up. So let's just look at the top 10 quarterbacks and their completion percentage. Patrick Mahomes threw 67. Justin Herbert threw 68. Tom Brady was at 67. Kirk Cousins was at 66. Joe Burrow was at 68. Jared Goff was at 66. Josh Allen was at 64, which is his lowest. Geno was at 69.8. Trevor Lawrence was at 66, and Jalen Hurts was at 66. So that's the top 10 quarterbacks. So 66 is good, but I'm saying that was Lamar Jackson's best season. That's one season. That's not like his first season was 58, and his last season was 62. So like 66 is, I wouldn't call that elite. An elite season is like when Joe Burrow throw for 68. That's an elite season.
I mean, but when you're top 10, you're like you're qualified as, they say you're elite when you top 10.
I would stand to say 66 and up.
Yeah. So if you're a great quarterback, 66 should be your worst season.
Yeah, 66 should be your worst. You shouldn't go under 66. 64 is pretty bad for Josh Allen. Like,
right.
And he had 14 interceptions too, which puts him behind like Dak if we don't count on postseason. Like,
Dak
so
even on the list.
On this list, boy.
Dak should look. As much as I talk, Mike, Dak should be on this list.
At 10?
As a fantasy quarterback? Yeah.
Dak should be top 8. Because Dak throws picks, but Dak gets a lot of yards though.
No, but the offense changing. They don't got
Kellen
calling the plays now.
Yeah, they don't have Kellen. He's calling the plays. He wants to run the ball more. I mean,
they added Brandon Cooks. You add a pretty darn good receiver. You got CeeDee Lamb.
Still got Michael Gallup.
I mean, but that's how. I guess that's how.
See, don't start
not like this.
Why you always gotta start, man? Like
you brought it up, man.
Bro, it's you, bro. It's you, man.
All I'm saying is they got the weapons to make teams afraid, but then end up Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball, so that's going to take away from Dak in his ability to like put up stats.
I'm going to tell you what, though. I'm going to tell you what. My top 5, though. My top 5 is definitely going to be Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I'm talking about top 5 fantasy quarterbacks, by the way. Justin Herbert. Who else would I put in there?
Well, I think Matthew Stafford should be on this list. I think he's going to come back and
in the top. Top 10.
No, top 10. I think he'll come back and have a good season though. Because I'm thinking about everything, right? Like we talking about fantasy now.
If we talk like in fantasy, like
Matthew Stafford
the top 3 is a great off them. The top 3 that was red, that's literally the top 3. Josh Allen will probably will be number 1 again.
I think the top 3 fantasy quarterbacks should be Josh Allen. I think it should be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. I think those 3 should be top 3.
Automatic.
I think Lamar and Jalen Hurts are the next 2 because of their ability to run.
Like even so, like,
top 3.
No, I'll compare Justin Herbert to Tom Brady in the terms of like throwing the ball but not running. Like he ain't running. Like he ain't running. Patrick running. Like, Patrick run more than Justin Herbert.
I mean, yeah.
No, I know that, but Justin Herbert always He always goes over 4,500 passing yards though. The knock on him was the touchdowns. If he puts together a season where he throws 30 touchdowns, fantasy wise, he'll be an elite quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes is averaging about around 335 yards a season. Like,
matter of fact, hold on. Look up their average fantasy points from last year.
Fantasy points?
I do want to say this about Matthew Stafford, right? So the year when the Rams won the Super Bowl, he threw for 4,800 yards and 41 touchdowns.
That's true.
That's elite fantasy numbers.
Yeah.
And he completed 68% of his passes.
I guess that's why I asked for somebody to look up like what was the average fantasy points per game last year? Because like I feel like because still in a way we're trying to say, hey, they do this and they do that, but then like I guess that logic don't really come down to like fantasy logic,
right? Because like Justin, like my thing is, all right, on this list, I think the people that should be removed is Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence,
you crazy.
Justin Fields is nowhere close to putting up fantasy numbers.
Justin probably gonna run for another 1,000 again, and he probably can go for 25.
That's not good in fantasy. Jeez, what?
But then the rushing touchdowns for him, like he gonna get his, like he gonna eat rushing.
Bro,
he hit the rushing yard bonus. That's all fine and dandy.
He gonna put up the same.
How many touchdowns did he have? That's what we're gonna do. How many touchdowns?
Because like people are overselling this 1,000 yards rushing. Bro, you can get a running back and have 1,000 yards rushing, and he'll have the same amount of stats as Justin Fields. Because 2,500 yards passing is not gonna win you no games in fantasy. That means over the course of 17 games, you're throwing 100 and something yards per game. You're not gonna win fantasy doing that. At all.
You really not.
What was his standing last year?
All right, so look, so Justin Herbert last year threw 2,200. No, Justin Fields, threw 2,200 yards and 17 touchdowns.
17 touchdowns, right?
And
17 games.
And completed 60% of his passes.
Then in 17 games.
Rushing wise, right? He had 1,100 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns. So that puts him at that.
So what's his ranking among quarterbacks?
How?
What's his ranking among quarterbacks in fantasy last year?
Let me see if I can find it.
No, I can find it. I'll tell you right now.
Team fantasy.
All you hear is the keys clickety clacking, and that's all you hear.
Yeah.
All right, fantasy football. So the number one fantasy football player last year was Patrick Mahomes. Obviously,
Here we go.
So this is what the top 10 says.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen is 2, Jalen Hurts is 3, Joe Burrow was 4, Geno Smith is 5, Justin Fields was 6, Kirk Cousins was 7, Trevor Lawrence was 8, Daniel Jones was 9, and Jared Goff was 10. So I really don't know how they got these numbers because I don't know how Daniel Jones like.
So Herbert not even like in the top 10. Who else not in it?
Herbert is 11.
Herbert 11.
So Lamar Jackson is 14. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is 14. Tua is 15.
So do they have like the average points per game that they got last year?
Nah, this is like weird. I'm about to actually. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I just had it just now. Like,
hold on, they do, but this is not in order though.
No, it's not in order. It just went down on a row, but like it tells you how much points per game because I just had that. I just had it up.
Yeah, it says that Patrick Mahomes was 25, Josh Allen was 24, Jalen Hurts was 25, Joe Burrow was 21, Geno Smith was 18, Justin Fields was 20, Kirk Cousins was 18, Trevor Lawrence was 17.9, so he was 18, Daniel Jones was 18.5,
right,
and Jared Goff was 17.1, Justin Herbert was 17. So it gotta be They gotta give more points to rushing. They definitely gotta give more points for. You know what?
But hold on, wait. But don't dual threat quarterbacks are worth more in fantasy anyway?
Whole quarterbacks?
Dual threats are worth more in fantasy anyway?
I mean, not necessarily. No. I mean, not necessarily. Yeah, no, because dual threats in general, because you would have like Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey did pretty decent last year. He did pretty good in fantasy last year. Following behind that, like Christian McCaffrey, aside from the injuries, because he wasn't hitting the 100-yard bonuses for the catches and receiving, doesn't get you a certain amount of points. So it depends.
The funny thing about this, you talk about quarterbacks.
I understand that. I was using that as an example. Boy, I almost reached through this. Like,
that's a bad example, though. That's a bad example because, like, for some reason, quarterbacks are rated differently than everybody else.
All right, so because you don't understand, let me break this down for Queso Casino since he doesn't understand pure logic here. So if you don't hit the passing bonus, you don't hit the bonus, right? So you can be a dual threat, the fact that you can pass the ball and run the ball at the same time. But if you're not hitting the bonus for rushing yards and passing yards, then it doesn't really matter. You can pass the ball because you're good at passing the ball elitely, but don't get a much yards. But if you don't exceed 300 yards, you don't hit the bonus. You can run the yard, you can run the ball pretty good. But if you don't exceed 100, then you don't hit the bonus. So in fantasy, points don't calculate that way. That it looks good.
You gotta remember they going off standard, so they don't have.
I'm talking standard because we play PPR.
Right. So
okay, I'm talking PPR. So I mean, if you don't,
that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like dual threat quarterbacks in standard are like worth way higher than regular.
The only thing about it is like, so I remember playing standard. Like in standard, the objective is to score touchdowns. So Austin Eckler would probably be the number one running back in a standard league because he gets in the end zone, right? Like I guess Justin Fields, if you take. So he had 8 rushing touchdowns plus 17 passing. So that puts him at.
That's only giving him 25.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know how. Like in standard, they must give the quarterback more points for rushing touchdowns. They have to, because if the touchdown points are the same,
I don't.
It can't be the yards.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the yard.
It can't be the yards. Wouldn't make sense
because they don't have
more PPR
and they don't have bonuses. So without the bonus, I don't see how. You know what? I'm about to look up standard league score.
So listen, because Patrick averaged 25 per game, and Josh Allen averaged 24 per game. You gotta, I guess, like look at their stats and then see like.
All right, so look, I'm about to pull up. I just pulled up This is how standard leagues run fantasy football. Six touchdowns per rushing or receiving touchdown. 6 points for players returning a kick or a punt for a touchdown. 6 points for recovering a fumble for a TD. 4 points per passing TD. 2 points per rushing, receiving 2-point conversion. 2 points per passing 2-point conversion. 1 point for 10 yards rushing or receiving, and 1 point for 25 passing yards. And I don't know why.
Yeah. So their quarterbacks are worth more.
Because they get 1 point for rushing yards. I mean, for 10 yards, and they get
2 points for rushing touchdowns.
So, I mean, I guess if you count like rushing touchdowns, then yes. Then that would be the same that he said earlier. Yes.
No, the rushing touchdowns say rushing touchdowns is 6 points.
The rushing
passing touchdowns is 4, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So if Justin ran for 8, so 8 times 6 is 48, and then if Patrick threw for what? How much Patrick threw for last year? 35.
30. You talking about per game, right?
No, just overall.
Over, he threw 47. Oh, you said Patrick. My bad. I'm thinking Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert threw 47.
No, he threw 41 touchdowns. Regardless of that, Cheese, he threw that 41 touchdowns is going to be more than the 25, even if you add the 2 points, the 2 more points. It's not going to make up the difference.
Oh, so then it's the rushing yards then, because you get 1 point per 10, and Justin Fields averaged 70 yards rushing per game.
That's 9 points.
Well, he had 1,100 yards in 15 games, so he probably somewhere around.
Somewhere like 8 to 7 or something.
Yeah,
something like 8 to 7 or something like that. Like, but even so, guys, I don't play standard. I mean, if y'all guys play standard, by all means, that's great and dandy. I just don't necessarily play standard, so I'm not fully familiar with the rules. I play PPR. I've always have, but for the most part of it, dual threat for me, I can understand it in a standard setting. It's based off of like the whole touchdown thing. I don't think it's really going to be based off of the yards because it's 1 for 10. So that is what it is.
Well, in my opinion, I think dual threats are worth more if it's in standard or PPR anyway. So
I just think you give credit enough to the hard work that somebody puts in as well in standard like that. If you just like they just ran in for a touchdown, like I could just literally just keep running into the end zone and stuff like that, and that's all good and dandy. But as a quarterback, that seems kind of like a slap in the face if you're really throwing the ball like that. But
I mean, yeah, I think it's because cool. The standard is set up to like even the playing field, though. That's why it's like that. So like it's set up so that quarterbacks don't control
too high.
Yeah, they don't control all the fantasy. So right. So when they made those rules, you got to think about it. They were saying like we got to make sure these running backs and receivers get credit, so we're going to give them more points per touchdown. But now that the quarterbacks are running, it changes it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, because now the quarterbacks are inherently, making more points through that way, and that kind of messes up the balance that they were trying to create.
But you know what? If based on the standard rules, I just read, I'll say fair enough. The list fair enough, because all of the quarterbacks they have the most elite quarterbacks, and then everybody else is a dual threat.
Anthony Richardson, though? Okay. But
I mean, he is going to run the ball a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he had 1,000 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if they just ran the read option.
Let's just say he's going to be Cam Newton.
Well, he ain't going. Cam, you could use Cam on goal line, though, because Cam was so big.
I mean, because Cam was a pretty successful fantasy quarterback.
So, he was.
The year the Panthers made the Super Bowl, I had Cam, and I made the championship in fantasy, and I lost because they sat everybody the last game of the season. So I had no quarterback for the championship game. Yeah, it was awful, dog.
Dude, the final game of the season be so terrible too, man. Because it's like our
starter.
Yeah, nobody.
No, but hey, just so that y'all know, for any of y'all who start in the fantasy league, like we've all been playing fantasy for a long time, make sure when you set up your playoffs, do not use the last game of the season. Make your championship game the game before, because a lot of teams are going to sit there. Once they lock in their playoff spot, they're not going to play that last game. You're going to have a lot of angry people in your fantasy, because now they're going to be playing the championship game with a bunch of backups because the starters are out. So that's the way I do it. If I can give y'all any advice,
I'm an angry person,
and I like and we like PPR because it gives us more control. I think you can give the players more love, because everybody isn't going to score a touchdown every game, but if they get 100 yards receiving or something, I think they earned right. Points in that game. So and we also play IDPs. Individual defensive players. I think that's cool.
Yeah, man. To the defensive players, man. Let them get their shout outs. Let them get their love.
All right, man. That sounds like a rap thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that sound like that was it. It was nice. It was nice and spirited.
Yeah, we had a good conversation today, guys. This is going for the Gusto podcast. Yeah, with Boom Bam, Queso, and your boy Way Too Cool, man. I'm glad for everybody that tuned in. If you guys have any comments that you want to lay down below, like, comment, share, subscribe. Please let us know some future videos that you want us to talk about. We listen. We read all the comments, man, and I'm glad that you guys were here to tune in with us. And with that being said, it's been Going for the Gusto, and we out.
Peace.